Praise be to Jesus and Mary. This second Sunday of Ordinary Time is a prolongation, in some way, of the message of the Epiphany. Here again we have a manifestation of the power and of the identity of Jesus, not to powerful people, not to, intelligent people like the kings were, but to in an ordinary situation, the situation of a wedding. And it's not by coincidence that here again, as the kings saw the child Jesus in side by side with his mother, here again we see the presence of the Blessed Virgin Mary, here even more pronounced than in the episode of the Epiphany, because this is a very there are very few cases, probably is the only one where the Blessed Virgin Mary is nominated in the Gospel before the name of Jesus. There was a wedding at Cana, and the mother of Jesus was there, so she is nominated before her son, because it is a very important episode in the history of salvation, the miracle of Cana. This is the first miracle of Jesus, and it happens with the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary. This is a transformation from water to wine, and it speaks of the transformation of our human way of loving into a divine way of loving. It also speaks about the Eucharist. Of course, you see the wine and the water. It's the anticipation or transformation of the bread and wine in the body and blood of Christ. And here again, the importance of the presence of the Blessed Virgin Mary, we can see it in the fact that she's the very first one that realizes that the bride and the two spouses were short of wine. She's the very first one that realizes that. Of course, Jesus could have done that, sure. If a creature can realize something, God can too, of course. But she's the very first one, and this is a very important message. Every time we are short of something, we go through some tribulation, problems, the presence of the Blessed Virgin Mary is with us, and she realizes what we need, what we really need. That's not because she has more power than God himself, but because the will of God is that she has to take care of each one of us. From the very day we are born, through the day of our baptism, till the end of time, this is the role of the Blessed Virgin Mary in the history of salvation, taking care of each one of us. And with her intercession, she makes possible the very first miracle of Jesus, which is the transformation of the water in wine. And of course, this is the vocation of our life. If you think about that, we are born with a human character, a human way of loving. This is a gift of God. This is not, something that is bad. But the vocation of every Christian is to make a passage, a journey from a human way of loving to a divine way of loving, an imitation of the divine way of loving, a love that goes to the very end, that goes through every problems, a love that lasts forever, just like Jesus showed us. And that is the great gift that we accomplish with the help of what is signified in today's miracle, the Eucharist. The Eucharist matters. The Eucharist works. One of the most recent examples, it happened to be the life of a young boy who happened to live a few blocks away where I was born, the Blessed Carlo Acutis, 17 years old. He was not a religious, he was not a priest. He was a boy, just like many other millions Christian and Catholic boys. His weapon, so to speak, were two: the Eucharist first, and the Rosary, the love of the Blessed Virgin Mary. His life was completely transformed. The life of a teenager, nothing particular, nor strong, nor powerful, nor rich, but his life was transformed. And I happened to make some journeys all around the world in these recent months, and you can see the statue of the Blessed Carlo Acutis nearly in every place in the world, from India, Philippines, everywhere. It's 17 years old, nothing more than that, nothing less than that. But his life was completely transformed by the power of the Eucharist. The water of our human life transformed in a divine way of living. And that is what the saints, but not the saints of the past. I mean, this is not something that happened many times ago, but it happened a few decades ago. It's happening now. The martyrs of today's time show us that the power of the Eucharist is without boundary, without it's infinite. So we have to make sure that we receive the Eucharist with a great faith that sacrament can really transform our life. Like water can transform in wine by the power of Jesus. The second thing that is important in today's gospel is, we are talking about a wedding, so we are talking about a family that is forming just in front of our eyes. No? A man and a woman that unite themselves with a love that should last forever, till the end. Of course, there will be no wedding in paradise, so it's a human kind of living that will not last really forever, because there is no wedding in paradise. There is the wedding between humanity, definitive, between humanity and the Trinity. But sometimes it happens as a priest to be questioned why the church is so obsessed with family values. They say you are obsessed with everything that is connected with sex, with the sixth commandment. This is not true, and I explain why. If you look carefully to the Christian theology, to the message of Christianity, you can see that the grammar of Christianity is the grammar of family life. We call God the Father. We call the Blessed Virgin Mary our Heavenly Mother. We call Jesus our brother. He is, really. He is our brother because the Word was made flesh. So if you understand the family grammar, you can understand better what Christianity is all about, right? Of course, the grace of God can overcome the crisis of a family, because the grace of God is almighty. But generally, you made it very difficult if you destroy the grammar of family in everyday life to understand the message of the gospel, because the grammar of Christianity is the grammar of the family. And why it is important, the family, for the society and for the church, for the Christianity? Well, because the family, if you think about it, is the only place where a human being is accepted for who he is, not for what he gives to you. If you live in a workplace, if you live in a business, in the world of business, of course you should be treated like a human being with a dignity. But generally, you are accepted for something you give to others. You obtain something, you have your paycheck, but you have to give something. In the life of the family, this is not really the way it works. A son is accepted for who he is, regardless of his intelligence, regardless of his beauty, regardless of his human capabilities. It's your son, it's your children. And the mother and the father are the mother and the father, regardless of every other characteristics. So the value of a human being in a family is considered as it is to the eyes of God. Each one of us has an infinite value. Why? Because Jesus would have made flesh of himself even to save each one of us here present. Each one of you would have been saved by the sacrifice of Jesus, even if there was only one person living in the world. So our price is without limit. Every human being has a dignity that cannot be suppressed. You learn this very first thing inside a family. You can live also outside of the family, but it's very much more difficult because the outside world has a different logic and it's understandable. So why, if you destroy the family, if you weaken the family, the human being is more isolated. It doesn't understand his value. It doesn't understand the value of other people. And so it's more difficult to grasp the core of the message of the gospel, which is that each one of us is loved to the end by Jesus, made man for our salvation. This is the reason why the wisdom of the Church always have seen the family as the most important institution of our society. It's not really about sex. It's about the value of each human being. And that's why it's very important to defend this institution, respect its core nature. The wedding is between a man and a woman, open to life, open to a love that lasts to the end. This is the way that Jesus showed us his love for us. And so we have to pray that every family in the world that knows difficulties, problems, tribulations, reading today's gospel should rely upon the power of the love of God, the power of the Eucharist that can overcome every problem. You know, statistics say the same thing. It's like you can transform it in numbers. Family where people pray together, they try to walk in the footsteps of Jesus, are the less likely to break up, are the less likely to go under, crisis. There are crises, but they are able to overcome. It's not like a commercial vision that you see in TV where everyone is happy. We have problems in families. By the presence of Jesus and Mary, always take care to invite them in the life of the family, can overcome all the problems. And so we ask to the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary to be able to have faith in the power of divine love that reaches to us through the Eucharist, and be able to pray, make our family a place of prayer, a place of hope, a place of love, because by the strength of the family institution depends the strength and the capability of the Church to be a real witness to Christ. Praise be to Jesus and Mary.